And I want to talk today about infidelity. We're going to do a whole series on infidelity, and I want to just begin with some simple facts. This will be both some training for couples as well as for therapists and counselors that are working in the field. The fact is that couples who have a great sex life on this planet, who are very intimate and passionate with each other, are doing the same things. They're engaged in activities that build that. Those that do not have a really good intimate life, that have no passion, or their relationships have evolved or devolved to kind of a passionless intimate life or a passionless sex life, are doing very similar things. And so there's a crossroads that you come to, that you're either going to have a passionate life or you're not. To have a passionate sex life and to be very intimate with your partner, here's some things that you want to do. And this is like a whole bunch of couples that were interviewed over a whole bunch of decades. And so we feel pretty certain that the research by Dr. John Gottman, by another person named Barr, but here's some things. Here's 10 things that these couples do that have an incredible sex life. Number one, they say "I love you" to each other every single day, and they mean it. At each of these crossroads, they profess their love or their endearment to each other. Number two, they kiss passionately for no reason. They don't just kiss because they want to have sex, or they don't just kiss because they're supposed to. They just want to kiss. They want to make out with each other. They give surprise gifts. They do little surprises for each other for no apparent reason. They don't wait for Valentine's Day for a Valentine's Day card. They know what turns their partners on and off. They know kind of what the hot buttons are, what generates a little bit of passion and what doesn't. So we've got number 5, they are physically affectionate, even in public. They dare hold hands. They're able to put their arms around each other. They keep playing and have fun together. Do you notice couples that are flirty and they have fun and they play and they're a little bit more almost teenagerish at whatever age? Couples that are able to do that are able to maintain a healthy, satisfying sex life. These couples that are doing really well cuddle. They still cuddle. They don't stop cuddling. You ever notice couples that stop playing and stop cuddling? They stop laughing together. They just kind of like parallel life each other. That becomes a roommate situation where infidelity can sneak into the relationship. They make sex a priority. There's even time to schedule sex. So if you're so busy that you're tired all the time, or that you're feeling like you're just too rushed, take an afternoon off and just play. They stay good friends. They stay really good friends. They keep that foundation of friendship. They keep communicating. They can talk about comfortable and uncomfortable topics. Really good friends and romantic partners are able to talk and communicate about uncomfortable things. They have weekly dates. Weekly dates. These weekly dates are a time for courtship, not to go out and solve problems, not to go out and check on the kids 1,400 times, not to go out with other friends, but just together alone. They date, they take romantic dates together. A couple of other things that we notice, I know I did 10 already, but I'll do a couple more. They take romantic vacations, and they're mindful about turning toward each other. So in short, this study by Gottman, and then another one it's called the Normal Bar Study, 6% of these non-cuddlers have a good intimate life. That means 94% of couples that don't cuddle, don't play, don't get along with each other, 94% have a terrible sex life, which is the majority, right? This idea that having a great sex life is rocket science, it's really not. It's just the simple little things. The antidote to bad passion, or the antidote to having a poor intimate life, for therapists, you want to talk with them about, you want to talk with your couples. And as couples, you want to assess each other. Like, how much time do you spend with each other during the week? I know couples that spend 30 minutes a day with each other. That's about it. The rest of the time is either at work or with kids or chasing kids around, and people get too busy. Are you becoming job-centered and kid-centered? Are you parenting and working to make a living, and that's about it? If your couples evolve or devolve to where all they do is earn a living and chase kids around, they're going to drift apart. Do they talk mostly about operations? Are you as couples talking mostly about just the operations of your life? Are you talking about schedules, schedule conflicts, what sport all of our kids are in? What are we doing? Are we getting together or are we pulling apart all the time? Do they make everything a priority and the relationship kind of gets the leftovers? Or does the relationship get the prime time and everything else? Even kids get the leftovers. I want you to think about that. Is your spiritual selves because of the kids, because you want them to have a strong spiritual foundation? Or do you have a strong spiritual self because you as a couple partner with God in your relationship? Which is it? It could be both. It should be stronger, you as a couple leaning towards God and then raising your kids, because eventually you're going to be in my situation where all your kids leave home and it's just you and your spouse and a heavenly father and mother. Have your couples started to drift apart? When couples start to drift apart, they do a couple of things. They start finding joy and pleasure in things outside of the relationship. Now that could be softball tournaments. That could be bonko games. That could be any number of things, friends, other couples, other pursuits. But one of the things that couples devolve to is where they talk about, I guess in that normal bar and the Gottman researches, they say that most couples that evolve towards just being roommates spend about 35 minutes together a week talking about schedules, and that's about it. And so running errands and scheduling things is not intimate, it's not passionate, it's not going to lead to a very promising sex life in your relationship. It also opens the door to infidelity. Now remember, infidelity is anytime you profess to believe something that's not true. So if you start to believe that you're drifting apart from your spouse and it's not true, you don't have to, you can turn that around. You don't have to go pursue other activities. You can turn toward each other. So in Shirley Glass's book, she wrote this book and she did this huge research on specifically on infidelity. So her and a lady named Pirelli are the two that seem to have done a ton of research on this. And then Chris and I have done a ton of research into infidelity and into some of the things that have to do with keeping couples together or pulling them apart. What is noticed in most of the research is that infidelity occurs not because somebody has a character flaw, or not because there's just a predator in the relationship, though that does happen. There are character flaws that people just seek out. Infidelity, they seek pornography, they seek strip clubs, they seek massage parlors. They get to a point where they just are train wrecks, and so we want to watch out for that. But most affairs, most extramarital affairs are friendships that begin at other pursuits, and those friendships evolve into romantic relationships. Remember, women tend to, now this is not super popular, but there's very gender-specific ideas here, that women generally can talk about emotional content things with anyone. Men tend to romanticize any emotional conversation. So a woman and a man talking with each other, yeah, they can be friends, but if they start sharing intimate details about their lives, the man's going to turn that romantic even if the woman doesn't, because she may be able to do that, but most men can't. It seems like men, when they talk about intimate things, romanticize, and then they turn the relationship erotic in their mind and then pursue that woman. And so can you see how a work relationship or a relationship around taking kids to the park, where you just strike up conversations with someone that you're maybe a little bit attracted to? And so it seems like there's so many things that can push people to that line of infidelity in a relationship. And so we want to make sure that you guard yourself. You guard yourself against that. You help your couples guard yourself against that if you're a therapist or a coach. To successfully steer relationships away from this kind of temptation, both partners in a relationship need to be vigilant of turning toward each other and not to other people. I've got one couple that the one is turned to parenting and the other one's turned to generating a living, and they're just pulling apart, and they're both finding people in their lives outside of the relationship, and they're so busy with those people that they rarely spend time with each other. So you can see how that line can get very blurry there. And so I want you to do an assessment. Are your couples spending enough time together? Are they doing those 10 or 12 things that can add to the relationship spice. If not, create a worksheet of assignments. And for yourselves as couples that are listening to this, make sure you create a set of assignments for yourselves that you're going to start doing these things. This is all on top of having a marital governing purpose. Make sure that your marital governing purpose is strong and solid. Why are you married? Who are your heavenly parents and how are they involved in your marriage? Do you pray together? Do you kneel across the corner of your bed and hold hands and pray for each other? Or are you teaching your kids to pray by doing nightly prayer, nightly scripture study? I challenge you to do that, but also take time for each other, just the two of you. Teach your couples to take time for each other, just the two of them, to petition their heavenly parents for help and for support. Turn toward each other with gifts. Turn toward each other with conversations. Turn toward each other with the romantic things that are exciting. And tell them that you can promise them, if you're their coach or therapist, tell your couples that you promise them that if they'll do these simple, tiny bids for affection and romance and passion will just naturally occur. All right, there's going to be a whole series of this. We've got everything from marathon sessions all the way through to a whole course coming at you. And we'll talk to you soon.